Hey followers, this is your boy, Movie Maker Doug55. I'm just about to interview Jay Guy, the crew chief for the former Cup Series team known as HScott Motorsports, owned by HScott. Before I do the interview, I want to say a prayer to God that it will go well. Dear Father in heaven, this is Doug Kenney talking. I come before you, Lord, to say thank you for the interviews that I get to do. I'm enjoying life for the first time since my rough period a few years back, and I'm very grateful that you've blessed me with all my connections on social media, and I'm grateful that you've blessed me with an interview with Jay Guy, which is going to happen any minute now. I ask that I get through it as smoothly as possible, and that I remember to tell him some stories of mine that I have about his involvement with Front Row and all that. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Alrighty. Okay. See if he answers the phone. Today, everyone, I'm interviewing NASCAR crew chief Jay Guy, who has spent most of his career in the NASCAR Cup Series with a variety of drivers like Johnny Benson and Front Row Motorsports, David Reagan, and then HScott Motorsports. Let's see if he answers the phone.
Hello, this is Jeff.
Hey Jay, this is Doug Kenney talking again.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? How was Memorial Day?
It was alright.
Yeah. Yesterday was kind of a rough day for me, but I'm glad it turned out well for you as far as Memorial Day. Yeah.
Good time with seeing my family and stuff, so.
Yeah. That's understandable. So yeah, I have a list of questions about your racing career, and hopefully you have the answer for them.
I hope I can remember.
Yeah. My first one is, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I moved to North Carolina in 1986 during the summer times, and worked for Dave Marcus, and I would go back to school right after the Darlington Labor Day race, and then would race on weekends.
Nice. I'm originally from Estes Park, Colorado.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah, that's where I'm originally from. I was raised there, and then I moved to Arizona. Yeah.
That's cool. What took you to Arizona?
What took me to Arizona was a mixture of things. In case you didn't know, I have autism, and the school there just wasn't the right fit for me, and that was part of it. And there were other factors as well, although, yeah. Yeah. So you worked with Dave Marcus then at his race team?
Correct.
Nice. What was Dave Marcus like?
He's just a hard-working, independent owner driver. That's we didn't have very many people, but we did a lot with a little, and had a lot of fun and a lot of good learning experiences.
Nice. I was glad to see that he won that cup race back in the 80s for his own team. That was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Who is your biggest hero growing up in racing?
I don't know. I've been around racing my whole life since I was a little kid, so I looked up to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. Dave Marcus was obviously a big influence on me. I've known him since I was 7 years old. But Richard Childress and Earnhardt and those guys, you're around them, and it's such a close-knit community, especially back then when there weren't, 15 people per team at the racetrack. There's only, 6, 7 people as a track per team, so it was a really, really tight community. So you had a lot of people you looked up to that you went to for advice, and everybody's always willing to help each other.
That's good to hear. That would have been a cool time to witness, I'm sure. I wasn't born yet around that time, but that would have been cool.
Yeah, it was very different. That's for sure.
Yeah. What was working with David Green like?
Trying to put this the best possible way. David was at a crossroads in his career at that point where he had just come off a championship not that many years earlier, and then we had a new team start up at CC Welliver. I assume that's what you're talking about, right? The CC Welliver days?
I believe so, yeah.
So, I had worked with David before CC Welliver at the Tyler Jet team in Cup, and he was very hungry, very motivated to do well on the Cup side, and things didn't quite work out. And then the opportunity with CC Welliver came up, and build a team from scratch. And we had some good runs and had some success, but then we also had some runs where we had mechanical failures and things still stick in my mind to this day where it just wasn't where either of us really wanted to be, and it caused a lot of friction between the two of us, and it just didn't go the way we really wanted it to.
Yeah, I heard that David Green had attempted a Cup career in the 1990s with Buzz McCall's team, and it didn't work out. Is that when he had the crossroads?
Yeah, it was after that, because he did a deal with Buzz McCall, and then I don't know where he went from there. I know he bounced around the Busch Series some, and then, like I said, he filled in for us at Tyler Jet. And he's easy to work with and all, but I think some of that was just due to the fact he was trying to get a ride, and when we got that Busch deal, just some things we just didn't really see eye to eye on, and it caused friction, so.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. What was working with Curtis Markham like?
that was a lot of fun. Curtis and I didn't get to do a lot of races together. We were at Diamond Ridge at the time, and that's right before the owner sold out to Joe Gibbs, and it was a very unique time because Curtis and I were just one of a handful of people that actually worked on the cars, and then we would go race when we were ready, and Curtis is a really good guy and a really good race car driver.
Ah, makes a lot of sense. Is that how you got your ride with MBV Motorsports and Johnny Benson, or how did you get that ride?
So I gotta think of when that was in the time. So in that time frame, MBV bought out Tyler Jet Motorsports, and Tyler Jet, I had worked there in the 90s. I think it was late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. And then I left there and did the CC Welliver car, and then I went out to Bruco Motorsports, and then I came back to MBV. So I had a relationship there with them prior I'd worked there, 4 or 5 years earlier, something like that. I still knew some of the people, and they wanted me to come back, so I came back and worked there.
Makes sense. What was working with Casey Atwood at Bruco like?
I never worked with Casey at Bruco. I worked with Casey at Fitz Bradshaw.
Oh, okay, Fitz Bradshaw. But yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, what was working with Casey Atwood like at that team?
Casey was a very good driver. Still a good friend of mine. We talk. I see him when I'm over in the Tennessee area as much as I can, and we did a lot with nothing. We came close to winning the Richmond race. In the fall of 2003 or 4, whenever it was.
I think it was 4.
And had some good runs, but then we also had some runs where we just weren't really up to par, and he ended up getting replaced by Stremme, and Blaney took over the ride there midway through. But I had a lot of fun working with Casey, and we had a really good relationship.
That's good to hear. What was your reaction to Robbie Gordon passing Atwood to win at Richmond?
Robbie didn't do anything. I was upset with Truex because the only way that they could pass us was on a restart if they tried to wreck us, and that's what Truex did. He didn't wreck us, and we were fast enough. We would have had a couple more laps, we would have won the race. But we didn't have a couple more laps, and we finished second. So, Robbie did nothing wrong. It was all on Truex doing what he did, trying to move us out of the way to win.
Yeah. That's one of the races in racing that I wonder what could have been for Atwood if he had won. That was tough.
Yeah, that would have definitely helped his career come back a little bit, and you never know what would have happened for either of us, really. I mean, that could have changed the whole dynamic for Casey and for myself. Working together a little bit longer than what we did, and possibly, going on to bigger and better things for both of us.
Yeah. Is Casey still upset with Truex to this very day, or is he past it?
Oh, I'm sure he's past it by now.
That's good to hear. What was Terry Bradshaw like as an owner?
I'd rather not get into that.
Oh, no problem. I understand. And to be honest, you're the first person that's declined to answer one of my questions in an interview, so I understand. But you're the first.
I just don't. There's stuff there that just doesn't need to be said.
Yeah.
I know you're writing a book and everything like that, but some things, that go on behind the scenes just never need to be brought up. So.
Yeah, I understand. So you don't have to answer that one. No problem. So, what was working with Joe Nemechek like?
That was a really good experience. I mean, Joe and his family are still really close friends of ours. We worked together for a little over a year, and helped build the foundation for Furniture Row. We just didn't have all the parts and pieces together, and we had some bad luck, but we had some decent runs, and it's just it was a fun but trying part of our careers.
Yeah, makes sense. I always liked Joe Nemechek. He seems like a very stand-up guy.
He is. They're very good people, and him and his wife came to our wedding, and they were just really, really nice people. So.
Yeah. Last year when NASCAR penalized Joe Nemechek's team, it wasn't his team, but it was the team he drove for the Homestead issues, I never thought for a second that Nemechek really played a role in that. You know what I mean? Because he just seems like too much of a stand-up guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 What was working with Kenny Wallace like?
Ooh, that one. Kenny's a really good guy. A lot of energy. It's just you have to harness the energy, and then that part of Kenny's career, he was going through a lot of self doubt on his abilities, and it was he would get down on himself, and then it would kind of bring the rest of us down a little bit, and we just never got out of that funk. And he's a good race car driver. He's got a lot of knowledge, but just sometimes it was hard to get everything going in the right direction.
Yeah, makes sense. How did you get your ride with Furniture Row Racing?
I had known Joe Baroni for years and years, and we had always talked about working together, and that opportunity presented itself, and we pulled the trigger and went with it, and to build the team.
Yep, that was my favorite team at the time because I lived in Colorado when it won its first race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember dancing like crazy when Regan Smith was able to win with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was working in the mountains of Colorado like?
It was pretty good. I enjoyed my time out there, and I never really wanted to leave, but we were kind of in a, the country was in a recession at that time, and I chose to leave there and go to Penske. I didn't want to, but I just felt it was best for my career to do that, and it was a lot of fun working out there. Barney Biss was a great owner. Had a lot of great teammates out there. It was a lot of fun to be there.
That's good to hear. And how'd you get your ride with Brad Keselowski at Team Penske?
They came looking for me when Brad was going there. They wanted somebody to match up with Brad, and we talked about it, and I felt like it was a good opportunity at the time, and learned a lot being there, and we just didn't have the success that we needed to, and I think some of it when Carl Edwards wrecked us there in Atlanta in the spring, it took Brad a little bit there to get everything back right, and then we had another hard wreck in Charlotte, and just we played catch up a little bit there. We destroyed two cars, two really hard wrecks, and it was just kind of put us in a little summer funk, and then we got things turned around, had a couple top tens there at the end of the year, but top tens at Penske Racing aren't what you need, and we went in a different direction.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, considering the project that we're doing, but if you don't have to answer if you don't like, but what was your reaction to Edwards wrecking Brad in Atlanta?
I thought it was pretty. I don't remember I remember the wreck. I don't remember why he thought he had to retaliate. I just know at the time that I thought Carl was in the wrong, but I think some of that had stemmed from the Talladega race the year before with Brad and some of their bush run-ins. I don't think it had anything to do with the race that day. I think Carl just lost his mind a little bit and went out and wrecked us, but I'm not a fan of drivers wrecking other drivers on the racetrack. I think that's something they should talk about outside the car, because it has implications on a bunch of people that build and work on the cars. That had nothing to do with that. We didn't do anything to Carl. He should have went and talked to Brad or ran his bus into him or something. Just don't wreck our race car. So that's my take on it.
I'm kind of with you on that. I do think that, wrecking another driver is not the way to handle it. But to be honest, I kind of felt that NASCAR was partly in the wrong as well, because I kind of felt that maybe they should have seen. Just a sec, I have to decline this call that someone just. Yeah, sorry, someone called me in the middle of this and I had to decline. But yeah, I'm back now. But yeah, as I was saying, I kind of think NASCAR was partly to blame for it as well, because I kind of feel that they should have seen their run-ins from the previous year, and maybe they could have just sat them down similar to Days of Thunder, and maybe it would have all been resolved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not really how things are going to work with that regime, but...
Yeah, that's just my opinion, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, in any case, you're right. You shouldn't really take your frustrations out on the hard work of the pit crews. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just my opinion. What was the reason you departed Penske for front row? Like, what was the reason you went to front row?
Well, I was let go from Penske.
Ah, okay. What was working with David Reagan like?
David's a really good guy. He was out to prove, that he's a good race car driver, and we overachieved some of the races we had there. But at that point with front row, they weren't anywhere near the status they are now. We were still trying to build it up and gain partners and stuff like that to be able to race a little bit better. And David's still a friend of ours, and his wife is friends with my wife. So we're still really close.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I have a funny story to tell you about when it was around the time it took place around the time that you were part of front row, and it was at my very first NASCAR race. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Back then, front row, as you and I both know, they kind of ran in the back on a regular basis, and my dad. What was that?
I'm very aware of that one.
Yeah, and what happened was, at my NASCAR race, I was on pit road with my dad, and we were touring the racetrack and meeting pit crew members, and Dad and I, we were talking with each other, and he asked me, "Who do you think will finish last today, Bug?" And I said with a very loud voice, I was like, "Because they finish at the back every week, Back Row Motorsports will." And my dad immediately shushed me. He was like, "Shh," And I was like, "Why'd you shush me?" And Dad was like, "Turn around behind you." And guess which pit stall I was standing next to? One of the Front Row Motorsports ones. Yeah, and I immediately laughed in embarrassment because they could have heard what I said. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably not my fondest memory, but to be fair, I wasn't really much of a nice person back then, so that probably played a role in what I said. And then what happened was, a few weeks later, you guys won at Talladega, and my dad literally asked me, "Didn't you call them Back Row Motorsports, Doug?" And I kind of said with a chuckle, "You never know when you have to eat your words."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
Yeah. What was that upset victory at Talladega like?
It was a really long day, with the rain delay and all that. And when you go into a race, it doesn't matter if it's Talladega or Martinsville, you always have a plan on how you want to try and execute the race. And back then, working at front row, we didn't always have tires to race on or the best of anything. It's just what it was. We executed our plan, and the plan worked, and it was gratifying, and it was good to get everybody there that worked hard on the cars, a victory and a second place finish, so
yeah.
But then the reality of everything, you're sitting there, and I'm already on to the next thing after the checkered flag fell, and I knew we were going to have to go to the All-Star race, and we weren't the league of trying to race with Jimmy Johnson and those guys. Our cars, we weren't even planning on going because we really didn't even have any cars to take. We were going to save our cars to go to the 600 and all that stuff, so we blew the dust off a really old car, and it paid $85,000 or something like that just to start it. So we're like, well, we'll do the best we can and try and make some money for the team. And there's no travel involved really, just some tires and an engine. And we did it, and it was a fun experience for a lot of those crew guys that had never been part of the All-Star race before. And
Yeah.
It was I don't know where we finished, probably 15th to 20th, something like that. But it was a good event for that. But I was already thinking about that. It's like, man, now we have to go to Darlington the next week, and I know our Darlington car is not up to snuff, so we go from being a hero to a zero pretty quick, and so you didn't get to enjoy it too long.
Yeah. After that Talladega win, I got more supportive of the smaller teams than I was in the past. And when I went to the NASCAR race in November, I spent literally a lot of money on some front row Motorsports memorabilia to support the team.
Cool.
Yeah, and my family was getting on me asking, why don't you want Jeff Gordon or Jimmy Johnson stuff? And I was sort of like, dude, they have all the money in the world. These guys need to be supported. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good win, and I was very shocked when that happened, but I was very happy for you guys. That was really good. Again, you never know when you have to eat your words,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
What was David's reaction to winning the race?
Well, I mean, he was very excited as everybody was, and I know in the back of his mind he was hoping that would parlay into something bigger and better, and it kind of did. He had the opportunity to go run Kyle Busch's car when he was out, and the Michael Waltrip Racing on the 55 when Vickers went out, so that helped him validate himself as a race car driver. But it's a completely different mindset when you're racing with a team that doesn't have everything versus a team that does, and I think he was excited to get back to, just going as hard as he could no matter what happened,
Yeah, for sure. Makes a lot of sense. What did Bob Jenkins say to you afterwards when the win happened?
I don't know that Bob really said anything to me, to be honest with you.
Ah, okay, no problem. What was the reason you joined HScott Motorsports?
I wanted to run with a little bit better equipment than what we had that first year. I didn't get hired at HScott until about a week before we had to leave for Daytona. We had to assemble a team and build cars and all that stuff. It was a struggle, and we went down to Daytona. We finished 13th or 14th, something like that, I think. And then went to Atlanta, had some good speed, and then NASCAR's platform was off, and they were sending everybody back through tech, and because we didn't have any points, we ended up missing the race because we couldn't get through for qualifying, or we got through for qualifying just as they shut the first round off. So we had to go home, and I think that really hurts momentum we had. And then just, had some wrecks and some other stuff. It was just, hard to get everything built up. And then eventually I got switched over to Clint Boyer's car there in the second year, I guess I was there, at Michigan, and finished out 2016 as Clint's crew chief. And then, towards the end of the year, I decided I was going to do something else. I just didn't really want to go through the headaches of being a crew chief anymore, and the politics and all that stuff, and decided to do something else.
So, What was working with Michael Annette like?
Michael's a great guy. I mean, it's just we had a lot of struggles and stuff, and we just got behind, but Michael's a really good guy. I like him. He's a friend of mine, and I'm pulling for him every week when he straps into that car with JRM.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You don't have to answer this next one if you don't like, but what was your reaction when you learned that HScott was shutting down at the end of 16?
Well, we kind of knew it. I mean, he wouldn't come out and say it, but the actions in the shop were, we weren't working on 2017. And once I saw that happen, that's what kind of pushed me towards doing something else. It wasn't a big shock that it shut down because, we didn't have any sponsors. Clint was leaving. Michael was leaving. We didn't have any drivers bringing money. So a lot of stuff behind the scenes, you knew what was going to happen. You just waited it out,
Yeah. I was a little bit disappointed when that happened because I kind of believed that team could have been successful if it had gotten the right opportunity with sponsorships and other things. You know what I mean? Yeah. What's your favorite racing movie between Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights, or any other movie you know?
I don't. I guess Stroke Race would be the one that I would go with. Either that one with Kenney Rogers, whatever it was, 6-pack or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've seen that. That's a good one. And this is the last one I have on the list before we conclude this interview, but what does your future look like as far as racing?
Well, right now I'm helping out a young driver in the Cars Tour. His name is Gage Painter. I'm going to the racetrack with him as a spotter, trying to help his learning curve. He just turned 15. He's got some wins in late models already, but moved up a series, and just trying to help him, become a better driver and to try and get him some wins this year in the Cars Tour. But that's a really tough tour. With Josh Berry and those guys out there. So
yeah,
that's about the extent of my racing. As far as doing it every week anymore, I don't have any desire to do that. I'd rather just stay here with my family and work a regular job.
Just a quick question, just to ask. Are you a little bit bitter with how your racing career turned out, or are you fine with how it turned out?
I'm fine with it. I raced for 30 years and met a lot of people, did a lot of things, and won a race at the Cup level, which there's only a handful of people in the world that can say that. And,
yeah.
I can go to bed at night knowing I did everything I needed to do, and I did the best I could, and that's where I'm going to leave that.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. How would you rate this interview on a scale of 1 to 10 if you had to give an honest answer?
I have no issues with the interview. You asked some good questions, so I would give it a probably an 8, just because I don't know if I gave you the information you were looking for or needed.
Yeah, I feel like you have, but that's a good way to look at it. Thank you very much, man.
Yep, no problem. You take care.
Take care, and I'll keep you updated on when the project will come out.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Turned out very well.